And so this session isn't going to be about necessarily about making a lot of money, because that shouldn't be our focus in life. Riches, or the more money that people acquire in their life, the more they leave. Have God at the top, and our relationship with our wife, to minister to our family, to encourage them, train them up as warriors for God. My dad had just had some moral issues, different things that he held back from giving his entire life to God. Several times we had the utilities cut off, and they couldn't afford to pay the bills.
Hey everyone, it is Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. How is everyone? End of June, we have an update for you about the Duggars. I know there's been a lot of Duggar content this week, not a lot of sister wives, not a lot of other stuff. Yesterday, a couple days ago, someone was like, Katie, everything on your channel is Duggars and sister wives. And I'm like, dude, I would love to take a break, but seriously, there's a 500,000 Duggars, and every day I swear I get something new. And then there's 800,000 Browns from the Sister Wives family. It's like hard enough to cover these two families with one person. So I'll get back to like expanding content, but I've been so swamped with these two particular hot messes of families. Now, this hot mess is about money, which a lot of you guys have been questioning because there was some revelations that Jill Duggar made about her dad and the fact that he was not paying her while she was on her own show, Counting On, and she made no money for the 7.5 years that she worked on reality television for her father, and no money, and she had to basically hire an attorney to get basically paid minimum wage. Well, we talked last week about how Jim Bob was lavishly spending money, throwing it towards people that he was trying to groom to get into the IBLP. We were talking about how Jim Bob was going and, becoming the father of the fatherless and helping women that were single with their kids and doing things for their houses and buying them cars and paying for their kids to go to Alert Academy and to the conferences and, helping people move, and basically just using money that he should have been paying his kids to woo people into his cult. Well, obviously, the money that he was using to filter all of that was from the show Counting On. The show was on air for over a decade. I know it sounds wild, but it was on from 2008 until 2015, and then from 2015 under a brand new show, Counting On, until 2021. That is collectively 14 to 15 years on air, not to mention the series that they did, the specials they did, which were with Discovery Health. At its peak, the show was the top rated show on the network. At its peak, Jim Bob was commanding a annual income from Counting On of around $850,000 a year, estimated. On top of that, Jim Bob was also charging for speaking engagements. Michelle was charging for speaking engagements, and they were crisscrossing the country, going to churches, being paid to speak publicly at churches, and promoting their books. They wrote 2 books. They had their daughters write a book, which I'm assuming all of that money went to them. They had a lot of money coming in, and it's estimated that they made around $18 million total. Now, Celebrity Net Worth wholly underestimates the amount of property that Jim Bob handles and how much he owns in real estate. So when we have to discuss Jim Bob liquidating assets and we have to discuss how his net worth is dwindling, what we have really to discuss is that he's having to sell off assets that he once had that were investments for him, and he's not necessarily replenishing those investments as fast because he doesn't have the income and the capital to recoup. So he's lost his stream of revenue. He doesn't have his own, he has a car business with Jed that sells junk cars, and the kids have Jason is a builder, sometimes, and we're going to talk about Jason in a second, because he had a mechanic's lien slapped on him, and now he's trying to sell that property that was just paid off, that just had a lien placed on it. And then Jim Bob is trying to sell a piece of property for $6.5 million. Like, this should sort of tell you how much problems they're facing with right now. He's trying to unload a property that he's had for years, and he's trying to sell it for $6.5 million. Last summer, he tried to sell another piece of property for $2.3 million. It didn't sell. I'm not sure that this will sell because the price tag is astronomical when you consider the size of the property he's trying to sell and the amount that he's trying to sell it for, and he's probably just trying to get someone to bite. So let's dive into today's topic. Before we do, can you please do me a big favor and give this video a thumbs up? Also, please subscribe to my channel if you have not yet subscribed by clicking on the subscribe button down below. Click on the bell if you'd like to get notified of any time I go live or new content loads, and make sure to share this video with your friends and leave a comment if you have something to say. So the article comes from OK Magazine with a source claiming that they're having real money issues. The one thing that I want to say about this is that I believe they're having money issues, don't get me wrong, but the source doesn't even know how many kids Anna and Josh have. So it says a lot of money went to the lawyers, plus they're helping out Josh's wife Anna and their 6 kids. They have 7 kids. Josh and Anna have 7 kids, not 6. And in fairness, Jim Bob did pay for a portion of Josh's defense, but Josh also paid for it himself because Anna and Josh liquidated basically every asset that they owned. And they sold off hundreds of thousands of dollars in property. And I'm 99% sure that all went to pay for his defense. And Josh still has a lien of $50,000 that is on the Duggars property. So they haven't paid off the lien that Josh owes to the federal government. And yes, I'm sure that Jim Bob now is paying for Josh's defense, but there's really not a lot of defense happening at this point, simply because they already did the appeal and they're waiting for the appeals court to rule. And that could happen anytime. So the source doesn't even really necessarily know how much money that they have or how many kids that they have. They also go into how he unloaded 5 acres to a friend of his, and he's sold a few cars. What they're really not looking at is that Jim Bob has a wide catalog of properties that are not even in his name. He owns like 42 or 40 some LLCs, and these LLCs are all over the place, all over Arkansas. And he has property in multiple counties in Arkansas, and he also owns a theater, in Branson, Missouri. He has a lot of real estate. So selling a couple cars doesn't really come to tell you the financial straits that he's in. He has a lot of stuff, a ton of stuff. So he has sold far more than 5 acres. He has sold under different LLCs properties in Benton County and in Washington County. He sold a couple rental homes on top of this 5 acres that he sold to his neighbor for basically writing a letter in support of Josh. Now they're trying to say it's still not enough. They're cutting back at home, trimming grocery bills, and the younger kids are wearing hand-me-downs. Money is a real issue. Okay, I don't necessarily disagree that money is an issue, but he has so much property that he can sell on top of the fact that he owns so much real estate. You don't have to spend a lot of time, and you can go into the Washington County property assessor records and you can just look under his name and you can see that he owns tons of property. You can go into Benton County and you can take a look at what the Duggars own over there. You can also look under all of their various LLCs and you can see that they have a ton of property. So technically, again, money could be an issue, but we're talking about liquid assets. Why I think things are getting very dire is his need to try to unload large properties. So clearly he is looking for a lot of liquid assets. He wants to sell a piece of property which is currently being listed by Tom Joseph, his realtor buddy. It's off Martin Luther King Drive. It's 25 acres. It says it's a regional location for a large-scale planned unit development. It's 1 mile from I-49, blah, blah, blah. It's close to Walmart and Target. The southernmost section can be modified but could be dedicated as a tree preserve to reserve a canopy space for the entire development use, possibilities of selling for tax credits, and it says that it's near the Mount Keller Park and bike trails, and it's a natural slate. I'm pretty sure that this was the same property he tried to sell last summer for, no, that was 12 acres. This is 25 acres. So he's trying to unload this, and this could be the property that he was trying to put the RV park on years ago, but he was not able to get it rezoned. But what I think is hilarious is that the property picture that's posted by Tom Joseph, it has it scratched out that it's owned by the Duggars, and it says revocable living. So you know it's in a trust, but they've blacklined the name of it. I was able to cross-reference this, and I was able to cross-reference that they actually own this property based on the parcel number and the fact that it's the exact number of 25 point whatever acres. So he's trying to sell this for $6.25 million. What I think is bizarre about this is for as much property as he owns here, he paid $46 in taxes on the land last year. I don't know where he's getting this price point, but it's unapproved land. It's 25.361 acres. They've black itemed the Duggar name out of it because people in Arkansas, a lot of them don't want to deal with the Duggars right now. They don't want to deal with their businesses. They don't want to deal with their companies. So they have to like hide that the property is owned by the Duggars, when you could literally just go search this plat number in Washington County and you'll see that it's the Duggars. So he's looking for $6 million. That tells me that he's struggling with finances. Another thing that I'm looking at is that Jason Duggar, has a construction company, but he's under his dad's control because he lives at his dad's property. Theoretically, what Jason has is Jim Bob's. And Jason recently built a home. Now, it's currently on the market for $315,000. But back in May, an HVAC company that did work for him back in January said that he has not paid them back $2,700. They slapped a lien on this, and they have been trying to collect the money from Jason for months. So a company named Kimball Mechanical Systems said that they performed work for Jason at Buildmaster Construction, and they are due $2,770 plus interest and attorney's fees to claim this money. And they tried to contact them. They provide an invoice. So the work was actually done on January 20th of 2023. So he has not paid $2,700 to someone, which is not a lot of money, right? For a home that he built that's currently on the market for $315,000. They contacted Jason via an email and a letter and this was back in March. And they said, you owe us money. We're entitled to payment and you have not paid us. And they said, this is for the work. This is for the property that we did this on. We're placing this please pay us back within 10 days or we're going to place a mechanical lien on this property. And they didn't respond to that. And so then they filed a lien. Coincidentally, a few weeks later, Jason sold a piece of property to another construction company for $12,000, and he still didn't use that money to pay off this HVAC contractor. Now, I get it. Contractors can have disputes with HVAC with subcontractors. I get that non-payment can happen, but when builders start getting into positions where they're not paying their subcontractors, especially in the building industry, that news will travel very quickly. And builders that don't pay subs are going to have a harder time hiring subcontractors to do work. There's no reason to believe that there's anything wrong with the HVAC in this home because Jason has put this house up on the market and the house has been listed for quite some time. So the home is currently up for sale for $310,000. It's been for sale for 71 days. They even had to drop the price by $7,000. He has been trying to sell this house for 2 months, and it has 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and it's 1,700 square feet, 1,781 square feet, and it's a 2-story, only 2 bedrooms. That could be a reason why he's not. That could be very well a reason why they're struggling to sell the home. Families particularly will need more than 2 bedrooms generally. But the housing market is not as hot as it once was in Arkansas because the prices have gone up so high, and the interest rates for mortgages have also gone up. So people cannot afford as much of a mortgage because they're paying higher interest rates. And because of that, they're not going to qualify for as much of a loan. So buyers are getting pushed out of the market as interest rates rise, and as the prices of housing has gone so far up over the last few years, it's getting harder and harder for people to buy and build homes. So homes are sitting on the market for a lot longer. So now Jason theoretically should have paid this contractor as soon as the work was done and it passed its inspection. He should have paid this bill. He hasn't paid this bill. This house is sitting on the market. It's been sitting on the market for 2 months, and he still hasn't paid this contractor. So they have mechanical liens. They have Jim Bob has a federal lien on his home in Josh's name. Not good. When I saw that Jim Bob wasn't paying that lien off, I was stunned, because the last thing that Jim Bob wants attached to his property is any form of debt. He hates that. So, the family doesn't have the same kind of liquid assets. The building industry has not been doing well. Josiah Duggar has all but abandoned his building company. He has not sold a home since September of 2022. He has not had any properties in either county or sold any properties, and he's not building anything because he's not pulling permits, which you can actually see records for in the counties. So Josiah's construction company has also sort of stalled. So both Jason and Josiah's construction companies have stalled. And you've got Jim Bob, who has a crappy used car lot, and that's about it. And he's trying to bring a carport or car mart. I don't even remember what, Coparts or something, like a junkyard, a salvage yard for cars that are basically totaled, and then they fix them up and they sell them. And he wanted to put that in. And at a meeting literally a couple of months ago at the city council in Tontitown, he said that he was closing on another piece of property soon, and then that would be a part of this salvage yard that they were going to put in, Copart. And the salvage yard that they were going to put in, he hasn't closed on that property. So they don't have that property either. So he's trying to buy property, and he hasn't bought the property. He's trying to offload $6.5 million. And then he's also got his son's businesses that he was also relying on drying up. So yes, I would believe they're having financial problems. And I would believe that it's not going as far as it was. But this is a family that has a ton of stuff, and they could sell off a lot of property and still be millionaires. So they're not totally broke yet. But if they don't start getting smart with their money, they could be in the future. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.